You don't normally drive through rivers every day, nor do you go climbing over logs in your car. And you certainly wouldn't want to drive up steps. Nonetheless, our cars are called upon to do a lot of things like this, day in, day out. Cars have to be patient. They have to wait around, for days on end and sometimes even for weeks. In the hot sun, in the rain, in the cold, and in the snow. This means that they have to be reliable year in, year out, and as effective as on their first day, and still look just as smart. In order to create the ideal technical conditions for a long service life, a vast amount of money has to be spent on research and development. This includes the largest vehicle test track for cars in Europe and one of the largest in the world, the test track at Ehra-Lessien. Test results require unimpeded comparable test drives on a very wide range of road surfaces. At 20 million test kilometers a year, this would place too great a strain on the nation's network of roads and greatly increase the risk of accidents. This test track consists of 100 kilometers of the most demanding and widely varying road surfaces in Europe and has a total area of 10 square kilometers. The speed track, a real three-lane motorway 21 kilometers in length, on which top speeds of up to 350 kilometers per hour can be attained. The road is built in the form of a circular track with two very steep bends with angles of up to 42 degrees. These mean that driving is possible at speeds of up to 200 kilometers per hour without any lateral forces. This track is also recognized for world land speed purposes. The hill. In fact, this is an entire network of mountain roads, as in the Alps. The hill has roads with gradients ranging from 5 to 32%. There is even a circular section formed from a series of double bends which can be driven non-stop. This means that we can now recreate alpine conditions in the heart of the North German plain using the minimum of space. 75 kilometers of arduous conditions of all types modeled on the entire cross-section of roads encountered across Europe. Each part section has been built in the same manner as an original road in a public highway system, so that the vehicles can be tested in conditions that are identical to the original. Dangerous curves, ridges of different lengths, potholes, blue basalt and cobbled surfaces, humpbacked bends, cambered and uneven road surfaces, and roads that have been worn away by the stress of traffic and heavy goods vehicles. Sharp bends, a speeded-up test section for rapid test results. A tortuous route for any vehicle, consisting of two symmetrical hemispheres, which help to produce even vehicle loading. The dynamic section, 500 by 500 meters and absolutely smooth, absolutely seamless for all kinds of extreme tests. All in a day's work on the test track. Loading vehicles for functional and fatigue strengths. At the moment, there are 110 vehicles being tested. Each one has its own carefully prepared test program. This test driver is preparing his vehicle for a 100,000 kilometer test. Just like on the public highway, the rules of the road have to be observed, and all roads have to be reached via roundabouts. This section has been designed as a one-way road, as the cars travel at high speeds along it. The stresses on cars are enormous. All results and measurements, all reactions and experiences of the drivers are logged and evaluated after each test, for a single fault in a new car is one fault too many. The endurance test track conceals a great many obstacles for the test cars. This enables weak points to be identified, for instance in the chassis design. The hilly area also forms part of the endurance test track. The cars pass here every hour. The gradients enable the design of the transmission system and the engine to be tested, both with and without the additional use of trailers. The heat behavior of the engine, radiator size, wear and tear on the clutch and the like can be studied here. Tests with trailers are carried out on gradients of up to 30%. The inner circuit is also used for corrosion testing. The vehicles drive through a carefully designed series of track sections containing loose chippings and saltwater spray systems. They have to pass through saltwater spray chambers, drive through mud and sludge, and then be able to withstand the extremes of rigorous winters and tropical heat. In between all this, there are regular functional tests on doors and locks and on hinges. And then it's back onto the road. This kind of test simulates the corrosion to which a vehicle is subjected when the vehicle is exposed to loose chippings, salt, water, heat and cold throughout its working life. Not all of the employees at the test track are drivers. Members of the security services are responsible for making sure that unauthorized persons cannot gain access. Here, secrecy is of the essence. The 100 kilometers of roadway on the test track are kept up to standard by a team of maintenance workers who carry the same equipment as their counterparts on the national highway system. In addition, the area contains some 850 hectares of woodland, which is maintained to professional forestry standards. The test track even has its own sawmill, and the wood is sold on the commercial market. A series of fire stations are distributed throughout the area, and these are all manned during hot, dry weather. No smoking is allowed on any part of the site. It goes without saying that the test track has its own rescue services and also its own firefighting services. It all comes together in the control area. It is from here that all activities are monitored and supervised. The most tortuous part of the test track has its own built-in system of chicanes, which really pack a punch. Some of the cars that are tested here spend their entire service lives on this part of the test track. A Passat on the Hydropulse test stand. All of the irregularities of the Ehra test track are stored in the computer. The vehicle bodywork undergoes the same kind of treatment here as it does on the track itself. Within a matter of days, the stresses on the vehicle components and structures that could eventually lead to a failure of the entire vehicle can be simulated on the Hydropulse test stand and on the other equipment. For example, a total of 180 hours on this test stand is roughly equal to a test of some 100,000 kilometers on the most tortuous part of the entire track, and that's just about half the anticipated service life of a car over the years. Although it's true that a lot can be achieved through the use of a test stand, there is no real substitute for the human operator, the roads, and all of the combined environmental influences. The tortuous track is in itself like a speeded-up piece of film. It can produce the desired results in a very short period of time. But the stress on the driver is also considerable. For this reason, all drivers are required to have half an hour's rest after every hour of driving. This is the 5th time today that this driver has been on the inner track. By the end of his shift, he will have covered about 750 kilometers. After 2 hours of concentrated driving in the 100,000 kilometer test, the drivers have a break of 2 hours. Special tests on the ABS section. The ABS system contributes greatly to an increase in active traffic safety, and for this reason it has its own special place in the test program. Five laps around the test track, that's 100 kilometers. Tests are carried out at all speeds right up to the maximum. A wide range of measurements are possible on the fast track. For example, acceleration, top speeds, petrol consumption, braking performance, and all acoustic and heat tests. The steep bends enable speeds of up to 200 kilometers per hour to be covered without the effect of lateral forces. The driver can even release the steering wheel and the car will continue along its trajectory automatically. It rains a lot in Ehra, but that can only be a good thing for testing cars. People don't only want to buy open-top cars for sunny days, and so tests are carried out in all kinds of weather. 200 test drivers are used for special non-stop and individual tests in 3 shifts over 24 hours. 20 million test kilometers each year on a test track that is unique in its versatility. Success depends increasingly on improvements in technical design. Safety, service life, corrosion protection and energy economy all require improvements in design and construction. And even during the night, while the rest of us are asleep in our beds, they are still testing at the Ehra-Lessien test track.